Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Ma ba'd. The questioner is asking about leftover food and whether they're allowed to throw it away. And included in that specifically is asking about cooking oil. They've used it once or twice. They feel that they could probably use it a few more times. By throwing it away, would that be considered as being wasteful and then falling into haram? Now, the Sheikh Aziz bin Baz here, he is giving us a very important principle between what is israf and tabdhil. Israf is when, so both of these are haram. أما ما زاد وأنفق في غير محل الإنفاق فهذا يقال له إسراف وتبذير. The Sheikh is saying here, if a person was to spend his wealth in a way which is not befitting, in a way which is not proper, either they're spending too much or they are being wasteful, all of this is known as israf and tabdhir, and both of this is haram. As you can see here, the Shaykh has given us plenty of ayat. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا. Those people who spend, meaning the Ibadur Rahman here in Surah Al-Furqan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praising these people. They don't overspend, they don't exaggerate, there's no extravagance. وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا, and they are not negligent either. They're not stingy. They have وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ sabila. They have a way in between what is, being excessive and what is stingy. Allah subhanahu. So this is an example of why we should be balanced. Here in Surah Al-Isra, وَلَا تَجْعَلْ يَدَكَ مَغْلُولَةً إِلَى عُنُقِكَ, you can hear وَلَا تَبْسُطْهَا كُلَّ الْبَسْطِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here, don't make your hands fastened to your necks, right? So basically a form of being stingy. And don't extend your hands beyond what they should be extended on. And if you were to do that, then you would be blameworthy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in other ayat, as you can see here, وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ, and do not do tabdhir. So this is what we're going to explain now. But in this ayah, Surah Al-Isra, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the people who do tabdhir are the brothers of the shayateen. Now, it's important for us to understand it doesn't mean that you become a shaitan if you are, falling into tabdhir. But what it basically means is that the person has been affected by the whispers of shaitan. We also have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is an ayah that I think a lot of the ulama use, but the Shaykh hasn't used. كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. Eat and drink. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayah in Surah Al-An'am is telling us, eat and drink, benefit from the favors of Allah, but don't do israf, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love those people who do israf. So now what's the difference? The Shaykh is saying here, ما زاد الحاجة يسمى إسرافا. If you spend more than what is necessary, this is known as israf. So you can buy a t-shirt for £50, a good quality one that's affordable, but you want to spend £200 that does the exact same job, right? So this is known as israf. وصرف المال في غير وجهه يسمى تبذيرا. Tabdhir is when a person is wasteful. So israf is where a person is spending way too much and he's not being responsible with his money, whereas tabdhir is where the person is being wasteful. So they go and buy, something like some food, for example, and then they don't eat it. They just maybe have a morsel or two. This is known as tabdhir, not israf. Right? So to give you another example, we have these big fancy weddings and people having big fancy cars. All of these are examples of perhaps israf, but not tabdhir. Tabdhir would be if they spent all that money but nobody attended. That would be an example of tabdhir. Now it's also very important for us to understand that when it comes to israf, every single one of us have our own financial means. So the example I gave earlier of the t-shirt, a person wants to spend £50 on a t-shirt, another person wants to spend £20 on a t-shirt, another person wants to spend £200 on a t-shirt. All of this is according to a person's financial means. So if the person has got the money and they've got the access and they can easily afford £200 on a t-shirt, and they know that by spending it they'll look nice, by spending it it will last them a long time, by spending it they don't have to constantly go out shopping, etc., then there's no harm in that. So here we were talking about what is customary. And again, when it comes to food and all these other things, cars and houses and whatever it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you with, all of that is according to what you can afford. And in that there is no israf. Israf is when a person is spending more than what he can afford and more than what is necessary. More than what is necessary. So this is known as israf. As for tabdhir, this is being wasteful. So now here, when it comes to food, I mean, the Shaykh hasn't answered the questions asking about the difference between israf and tabdhir. So when it comes to food, the person, and Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah actually has a very nice suggestion on this. Okay, when it comes to food, don't throw the food away. This will be known as, is it israf or tabdhir? Tabdhir, because you're being wasteful. So you've eaten what you wanted and you just throw the rest away. This is haram. It's not permissible for a person to do this. So what you should do is either hold on to it and eat it later on, next day, have it as leftovers, or you can give it to the poor and the needy, or you can give it to the animals. That way, someone is benefiting from it and there is no tabdhir. If the person has left it and they think to themselves, okay, I'll eat it tomorrow, I'll eat it tomorrow, I'll eat it tomorrow, and this happens with fruit and vegetables all the time, then you are not sinful in that because you are trying your best to store it. You've got a mind on it, you've got an eye on it, and you're not being negligent over it. And then if it goes bad, then you can throw it away because now it's not tabdhir, now the food is no longer food. So that's a important practical suggestion from one of the ulama when it comes to food. The question is asking about oil. I mean, cooking oil. I mean, this is the same sort of thing here. Is that if the person can use it again and again and again, it is not israf, it is tabdhir, the person being wasteful. Israf would be where a person could afford, to spend an amount on cooking oil, but they spend more than mazad al-haj, as the Shaykh is saying here, more than what is necessary. So hopefully this answers the question. And it's a very important question, and I think it concerns every single one of us, especially the youth, and especially, those people who are, afflicted in a way by shopping and things like that, because there are a lot of people constantly going out and spending. And so it's important for us to understand the difference between israf and tabdhir. And as parents as well, as maintainers of the household, it's important for the man to understand the difference between israf and tabdhir, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises those who spent وَالَّذِي إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ. And before that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا, the servants of Allah who walk on the earth with humility, and then He praises them in this way, that they spend. So, like I said, it's a very important question for us to understand, and I think it concerns a large number of people. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us the best of rizq in the dunya and in the akhirah, and that He makes us of those who hear and follow up in the best possible way, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects us from anything which is not beloved to Him. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد.